Hello everyone, my name is Shahrul Izham bin Ahmad Zamsuri. This video is about Biology Form 4 Chapter 3, which is Movement of Substances Across the Plasma Membrane. In this video, I will explain about Subtopic 3.4, which is Movement of Substances Across a Plasma Membrane and its application in daily life. For the learning standard, at the end of the lesson, students should be able to correlate the concentration of subcell in a plant tissue with the phenomenon of plant wilting. Students should also be able to explain by using example the application of the concept of movement of substances across a plasma membrane in daily life. And lastly, students should be able to communicate about reverse osmosis and water purification. Now, let's start our lesson. So, the first part under the subtopic that is related to osmosis is wilting in plants. For a fresh plant, its stem is upright and firm, and the leaves are well supported and held out in an almost horizontal position to receive the maximum amount of sunlight for photosynthesis. Most of its cells will be in turgid conditions, which means water has diffused into the cells from the hypotonic soil solution. The vacuole in each cell expands and presses against the cell wall and creates the turgid pressure, makes the cell turgid and well supported. While for the wilted plants, let's assume that excessive fertilizers in soil is causing the wilting in plants. These excessive fertilizers will dissolve in soil solution and make the soil water become hypertonic and more concentrated compared to subcell of the roots. The water always diffuse from hypotonic solution into the hypertonic solution. So, water diffuses by osmosis out of subcells of the roots into the soil. The cells lose water and become plasmolyzed. In plasmolyzed condition, water diffuses out of the cell into the hypertonic soil solution. So, when the cell lose water, its cytoplasm will shrink and the plasma membrane will pull away from the cell wall. The vacuole of cell will also shrink. In this condition, the cells cannot be supported, although it has a rigid cell wall that maintains its shape, and this condition cannot give support to the plant. So, in a wilted plant, it has a lot of plasmolyzed cells and a lack of water in cell. As a result, plant will lose support and wilt. Plasmolyzed plant cells can recover if wilted plant is watered with plain water. When we water the plant and soil with the plain water, soil water will become hypotonic compared to subcell of roots. Water will diffuse back into the cells from the hypotonic soil water by osmosis. The vacuole will expand back again because it has received water. This process is called as deplasmolysis. When deplasmolysis occurs, the cells will become turgid once again and plant will regain its support. However, if plasmolysis is prolonged, wilted plants may never recover from plasmolysis condition and will die. Now, for the second part of this subtopic, we will learn about the application of the concept of movement of substances across a plasma membrane in daily life. Let's start with the application of this concept in food preservation. First, osmosis is applied in the preservation of fruits such as pickles or gero in vegetable and salted fish in fish. For the example, in preservation of fruits, concentrated salt or sugar solution is prepared and the fruits are immersed into the solution. The concentrated salt or sugar solution is hypertonic compared to the subcell of the food. So, water will diffuse out of the hypotonic solution of food cells into the hypertonic solution of salt or sugar solution by osmosis. This will cause the food to undergo hydration, meaning it will lose and lack water. This condition is not suitable for bacteria to live, and the bacteria cannot survive in this tissue of the food without water and will die, and this can prevent them from decomposed food. Thus, pickled food can be kept for a long time. Sometimes, vinegar is also added. Vinegar is acid and it reduces pH of solution into acidic environment that bacteria cannot live in. Thus, the growth of bacteria is prevented and the food is well preserved. This concept is also the same for the salted fish. Now, let's move on to the isotonic drink. Isotonic drinks have the same concentration of salt and sugar or same osmotic concentration as body fluids to maintain normal osmotic pressure of body fluid. The function of isotonic drinks is to help athletes to replace water and electrolyte such as potassium and sodium that were lost through perspiration or sweating during vigorous exercise or sport to prevent dehydration and electrolyte imbalance. Next, we have rehydration drinks. Oral rehydration salt and drinks are a mixture of electrolytes which are salts such as potassium and sodium and carbohydrates such as glucose, and they are dissolved in water and drunk to replace large amount of electrolytes and water lost in people who are suffering from diarrhea, vomiting or dehydration, as it contains the right concentration of water and electrolytes. Then we have saline solution. Saline solution used in medicine is a solution which is isotonic or have same concentration to blood plasma or other body fluid. It contains 0.85 to 0.90 gram sodium chloride per 100 ml or 0.9% sodium chloride. The function of saline solution is to treat dehydration and correct electrolyte imbalance, replace fluid which are water and electrolytes that are lost in dehydrated person. It also helps to maintain the normal shape of red blood cells as water diffuses into and out of blood cells by osmosis at the same rate in isotonic solution. Thus, it prevents crenation of blood cells from occur. If plant water is given into the vein of the patient instead of saline solution, the blood plasma become hypotonic to the intracellular fluid or red blood cell. Water will diffuse into the cells by osmosis. The red blood cells will swell up and burst as they undergo hemolysis, and the patient may die from it. Next, we have liposome. What is liposome? Lipo means fat and some means body. So, it is a fat body. There are tiny vesicles that contain an aqueous solution surrounded by a phospholipid bilayer membrane that consists of a hydrophilic head and two hydrophobic tails. Liposome can be filled with active substances which are then transported inside the liposome to target tissues. The hydrophilic area is the one inside the cells and it has water in it, while the area between phospholipid molecules is called as hydrophobic area. So, water-soluble drugs is carried inside the aqueous or hydrophilic area, whereas the water-insoluble or fat-soluble drugs or substances are transported in the hydrophobic area. Liposomes are used to protect the drugs or active substances from being destroyed. Sometimes, liposome can be taken orally and they will land up in the stomach where there are gastric juices that can destroy the drugs. Liposomes can protect the drugs from being destroyed. Thus, the drug of medicine can reach the target cells. After reaching the target cells, the phospholipid bilayer membrane will break down and then the liposomes will release the inner cell contents to the cell. The advantages of liposome are it can carry both lipid and water-soluble drugs, it is biodegradable and non-toxic, it increases effectiveness of drugs, and lastly, it increases stability of drugs via encapsulation. Another technology that is related to osmosis is reverse osmosis. Reverse osmosis is technology used in water purification to extract seawater using desalination process. In reverse osmosis equipment, pressure is applied to push seawater through a semi-permeable membrane which only allows water molecules to pass through it but not foreign particles, salt, and microorganisms. Thus, only pure fresh water is released on the other side. So, this is the reverse osmosis membrane and it has very tiny pores that only water molecules can pass through it, and it removes molecules heavier than water such as sodium, lead, and dissolved minerals by filtering them. Reverse osmosis is better than carbon filtration as it can get rid of the particles as small as 0.001 micron, which is 99.9% of all sediments and contaminants, while for the carbon filtration, it can only remove particles as small as 1 micron. So, why it is called as reverse osmosis? Is it because it is the opposite of osmosis? Yes, it is. It is the opposite of osmosis in the sense that the flow of water molecules is from hypertonic solution to a hypotonic solution with the help of pressure, while for the normal process of osmosis, water diffuses from the hypotonic solution to the hypertonic solution naturally. One of the benefits of drinking reverse osmosis water is the water purification process use a semi-permeable membrane to filter out harmful particles, salt, microorganisms from water. So, the water produced contain less harmful foreign particles and microorganisms, and the water is pure and safe for consumption. Now, for the bad effect of reverse osmosis, the process removes useful minerals such as calcium and magnesium from water. Thus, drinking reverse osmosis water for a long term can cause mineral deficiency, tiredness, and muscle cramps in a person. That's all from me. Thank you.